Hello everyone and welcome to another car profile where we're looking at the BMW M6 GT3 Sprint model. Now if you do enjoy this video, do give it a like, do subscribe to the channel. We are on the journey to 50,000 subscribers and we are looking at this M6 GT3 car. We've already looked at the endurance model. This is a Sprint model, so very similar information. If you want to check out the full details of this M6 GT3 car, do check out the endurance model at the end of this video. Now, there are the bop settings. You see it gets more bopped later on in the medium and high, but in low, it needs a little bit more help, which is expected. It's very much a big car there, so handling not going to be its strong point, or, well, we'll see about that anyway. So we'll have a look at it from above them. So front engine, rear wheel drive, 6 gears, very similar engine to the endurance model. You can short shift this engine as well, and it does perform very nicely, if I do say so myself. The differences between the two, fog lights and louvered wheel arches between the two cars there, and that is it. There shouldn't be any performance difference. However, there actually is. So at low speed, PP difference, so performance points in Gran Turismo, there is a 0.05 difference between the two cars. And as we jump to the low speed test then here at Laguna Seca, the Sprint model actually has more performance points than the endurance model here by that 0.05 that I talked about. Let's talk about this car though, first of all, through this sector 1. It did struggle a little bit in the hairpin. It does feel a bit clunky at low speed corners, but that's because it's a very long car, long wheelbase. It does mean it's less handling and more about, you know, just safety essentially as we go through the right-hander here. And you can see there we're 0.024 down on the Audi R8 LMS Evo then. We are racing that fastest lap. Remember, we also look at Optimum here, and that is why you have the session best at the bottom there to see what sort of Optimum we're going to get. Sector 2 though is where this car comes alive. When we start to get to the mid-speed section here, coming into this kink, it absolutely flies through here. Look at the confidence. Foot to the floor, off I go through there. Absolutely fantastic stuff. It really did handle that very well as we come up to the corkscrew. Again, real confidence in this car to really just chuck it around here as I continue on down. Now, we have retested the endurance model. Just keep that in mind as we are up here on the Audi LMS Evo. 0.068 then, up. Is it going to be a new fastest lap? That is the question. In towards the right we go. We know the endurance model previously was very good here. We're testing the sprint model now, and I've retested the endurance model as we go into the final corner. Then again, slow corners is where this car does struggle a little bit because of the weight over the front end. The car doesn't want to turn as we head towards the line then. Oh, nearly. Not quite though. 0.027 off the Audi R8 LMS Evo then in terms of fastest laps. But let's have a look at the Optimums. Remember, it does have a slight advantage in performance points. Does it beat the endurance model? No, it doesn't. It's 6 thousandths difference. There's not much of a difference there at all. You can see that right there in front of you. With the old version of the car down in P10. Down in P10. So it has had a performance increase, it feels like there. Definitely more confidence in the car, that is for sure. I felt I could just chuck it absolutely everywhere. And I just absolutely went for it. Okay, I really did. So it's very much up there here at Laguna Seca. It did need a little bit of help there. You notice it's had 6 kilograms reduced from the other balance of performances there to help it out here. So very interesting test there. The endurance and the sprint model being basically identical there. However, the set times were slightly different, and I did feel a little bit more confidence in the endurance model, weirdly. I felt like the sprint model was a bit more oversteery, only slightly though. It could be just a placebo effect, me getting more used to the endurance model after I did that second, and it was a day after as well compared to the sprint model to try and make sure there was a gap there between the two as we go to Suzuka then for the medium speed bop test. We're again in the sprint model here because we've not tested this car before as we continue on out of there. In the S's, this car feels sublime. It really does. It just handles itself so beautifully. It can just keep going around here. Third gear is a beautiful gear in this car. Look at it. It's just stable. It turns. There's no real understeer there. We're going to start to suffer understeer a tiny bit on this corner potentially here, but still 33.355. We're up by 1.2 tenths of a second on that Porsche 911 RSR. That's the fastest car here at the moment as we head towards Tidgney 1. Now, weight transfers, you hit this curb. No real issues in this car at all as we get to Tidgney 2. You can do this in second or third gear. Again, no real issues in this car. It just wanted to go. We wanted to do the lap there. We're 1.5 tenths up now on that Porsche 911 as we head towards the hairpin. Slow corners, talked about it at Laguna. Same here. Just struggles a little bit on these slower speed corners because it doesn't really want to get round the corner. The front end just wants to carry on going straight there. And with no aero working at the time, that's where it does struggle. So let's talk about medium speed performance and between the two cars, the sprint and the endurance model. The performance points difference drops to 0.03. So it's reduced there. So as the car gets more bopped, it gets reduced in terms of that difference apparently then as we continue on out here. They both had oil changes Everything was changed. So, you know, it's not a case of me doing something weird. It's identical in every single way as we head towards the line then. And oh, we're down on the Porsche 911 then. The Porsche caught up. That hairpin obviously having issues then as we continue on through 130R. We could fly through 130R. We really could. Only a tiniest of lifts there. 150 was definitely possible as we continue through Casio Triangle, where it does struggle a little bit there with the slow speed aspect as we head towards the line. And what are we looking for here? Is it a 59.053? Is it going to beat it? That's the question. Yes, it is. By 11 thousandths of a second there. We have a new fastest lap here at Suzuka in the car profiles. It's the BMW M6 GT3 sprint model. Where does the endurance fit in all of this as well? And you can see it's pretty much identical, isn't it, really? Doesn't take the Optimum overall, though. The Porsche 911 does still keep that. But look at that. It's sprint model, old endurance model, endurance. Literally identical there. So you can see these tests hopefully are consistent and work out fairly well there as we go to P11 to P20. So it's very much up there, this car. Absolutely fast in the 58s there, time and time again. And I will say this, the sprint model, I didn't have as much confidence as the endurance model, even at Suzuka. I felt like the endurance model doesn't oversteer as much on power. It's really weird. It's the tiniest of things that I've noticed, but it's only just. And I feel like the sprint models just spins its wheels up that tiny bit more, which can help in corners as well, which is why potentially on Laguna we may have seen different sectors actually performing differently. If that makes sense. Now we're jumping to the endurance model as we get a 201.813, which you already know is a fast lap. So let's see what kind of lap time this is going to be then, and the reason why we've jumped to the endurance model. Right, okay, we're going to head towards the end of sector 1. We're racing the Suzuki Vision Gran Turismo car. Yes, the Genesis, if you've watched previous episodes, was the fastest here, but that's a big old update. We do need to retest that. That Suzuki is up to date as we head up towards this right-hander then. Sector 1, not the greatest for this car. Obviously, turn 1 is a slow corner. Oh, bit of oversteer there. It did struggle a little bit with that in both cars, actually, on the exit of that corner. More so in the sprint, though, I will say that much. In towards the left we go. Nice tight line. Accelerate out there really quickly. That rear stepping out. And this is where this M6 comes into its own. Both versions of this car. You can literally keep your foot to the floor going up the mountain. It is that good in terms of handling. Going through here to our left. Oh, the tiniest of lifts there. I got a bit scared then. Heading up towards this crest. We come off. We're back on. Look at the speed we're carrying here. This is humongous speed then as we head down the mountain. One turn up on the Suzuki then. Coming down here. Very stable downhill at the moment. In towards the left we go. Put our foot to the floor. Off we go. So close to the barrier. Handled it beautifully there as we head towards Forest Elbow. Then it can struggle here. Slow speed corner. Looking to get on the power as quick as we can. There we go. Continue on out of there then. So the top of the mountain, going up the mountain, handling wise, mid-speed corners, it just flies, this car. It's why it does so well at Suzuka. It does well going up the mountain here as well. It's also, has it got a good top speed? Actually, that is a question. Here we are, 4.5 tenths up on the Suzuki. My word, look at that Optimum down to a 201.4 right now as we head in towards the final corners, or corners should I say, not corner, as we go into the left there, continuing on there. 4.5 attempts is there to lose. Are we going to get a new fastest lap? I think we are here as we head towards the final corner then, using that tree on the right hand side then, slowing the car down. It did struggle in this last corner. Both versions really struggled here. The endurance model was better. It felt a tiniest a bit more stable. Again, I don't know why there's a performance points difference. They do use different engines in terms of sprint versus endurance, but we do have a new fastest lap there. 3 attempts gained on it. 201.573. What a lap. What a lap. Well, we know it's going to be up there on the leaderboards. How far up is it is the question. The endurance model, 201.454. The sprint model, 201.582. The downhill section was where this car benefited a tiny bit more. And again, I go back to that confidence thing where you can see the old car there down in P12. It's where I seem to have gained, I don't know what it is in the endurance model, a tiny bit more confidence. So going down the mountain, I could put my foot down that tiny bit more earlier, and it just felt a little bit better. It's one of the fastest Sector 3s I've ever done on the mountain. It might be the fastest, actually. I need to have a double check of that, but it was unbelievable. It really was. And again, it's a sprint versus endurance. I feel like there's a tiny bit more confidence in the endurance model to accelerate. It's the smallest of amounts, and most people won't see it or recognize it. But I feel it is there. I really do. What we're going to do now, though, is the fuel test for these cars. Both these cars as well, which should be interesting. For those new to this series, automatic fuel map 1 top left. So the game's changing the gears for us. Bottom left is automatic fuel map 3. So that's how you fuel save on automatic. Top right is half shift, which is how anybody driving manual will save fuel, because that is the best way to save fuel. And then bottom right there, half shift plus fuel map 3 is emergency fuel saving. Looking at both performance here and the amount of fuel saved, because you could save 1,000,000% and drive 1 mile an hour. Not worthwhile doing, so we compare everything there. We go to the 2K line there, where the first one crosses in the top left. 54% saved, 25.2. So we know it's not in the 24s. We know it's not all about acceleration then in this car. As the top right finishes very close there, very close indeed. Saves 5% fuel, only costs itself 1.5 tenths of a second there, which is actually quite good, to be honest with you. So definitely a fuel-saving car, I would say, in terms of performance-wise. Bottom left then, Fuel Map 3 is next. It does save a little bit more with the Fuel Map 3, which is interesting. So it does use a lot of fuel there, as we see that 62% saved. And bottom right then, the emergency fuel saving, 67% saved there. So 13% overall saved. Not into the 25s though. That's what we like to see in terms of performance, but it's not quite there in terms of fuel save. So I think it's quite a fuel drinker, this car. We'll have a look at the tables though. First of all, it's not in the top 10. I'd say we're looking for 24s there for peak performance. And you can see those cars right there. A lot of them I don't actually have to retest looking at that. So, you know, they're very much up there, these cars. Now, a lot of these have version 1.43. I'm aware of that, so not all of these have had a high-speed bop change, so do keep that in mind. I've just got version 1.43 because I'll have to test either 1, 2, or all 3 tracks. There you can see the results in the end. Literally no difference, really. So the fuel has gone down a little bit. Not sure why that's the case, but you can see that right there. But even so, we've got a weird 0 at the bottom there. How about that, folks? A bit of a bug in the video. You don't see that very often. So, yes, we have lost 1% fuel there compared to the old version, apparently. Not sure why. That could easily be human error in terms of how I exit the pits or whatever it may be. Hey, it is what it is. Right, okay, half shift then. Where are we going to sit on this one then? Not in the top 10 again. Oh, we're surrounded. Yeah, there we go. So the performance hasn't changed. You can see that right there. Half shift, it's all absolutely identical there, really. Even though the endurance is slightly ahead by 1 frame. That is literally 1 frame of a second there. Literally, that's human error. It could easily be that I've just turned right a tiny bit more as I exited the pits. Nothing major. They are identical there. You can see that. They're all in the same place. So let's go to the next set on the leaderboards then. So that was half shifts. This is automatic fuel map 3, I think. There we go. Yes, it is. So how good is it in terms of fuel saving then? We really should have checked the other one, but it was in the top 20, so it should be fine. I think it was top 20. Right, fuel map 3 automatic. Lots to feed here then. Yeah, so in the top 20 again, 62%. It's all right. The Lancer's the best one there, but, you know, it's not too bad, really, the M6. So if you use fuel map, if you're an automatic driver and use fuel map, the BMW M6, definitely a car I would use for a fuel saving race out of a lot of other cars there, because it's beating some of these cars even down here. Not beating the very bottom though. Theirs, they get a bit more, but they lose a lot more performance. So the M6 GT3 car looking like an automatic car for you if you're looking to fuel save and you drive an automatic. Let's go to the emergency fuel saving then. We're expecting this to be in the top 20 again, so they're mainly in the high 60s there is what we're looking for really, to really be matching the very best then as we go to the next page. Oh no, it's not that good. It's not that good in terms of fuel saving with a short shift, which is really interesting to see actually. It really isn't that good in terms of short shifting and fuel saving. Performance wise, it doesn't lose anything. It's very much there or thereabouts. It doesn't lose any performance. Just doesn't save as much fuel as anything else, whereas the fuel map really does help out the car massively. Kind of an interesting story there to share with you, and an interesting test all the same. It's always nice to see that as we go into the next test, which of course is going to be the Tyre Wear test, as we see a nice lovely shot of Special Stage Route X. So with a tyre test, we go to Sardinia, layout C in reverse, and we just keep lapping. We keep lapping until the first tyre runs out, whether it's the front tyre or the rear tyre, it doesn't matter. When that first tyre runs out, that's as long as this medium tyre will go then. So we accelerate to lap number 6. Yes, we're at lap 6 here. And we know that from last time, actually. It's a very good car on tyres. Let's see how far it gets. There we go. We just stopped it right there. It's the front left tyres just ran out then. So we add up all 5 laps we've already done, plus the 19.870 you can see in the center of your screen. That gives us a total time in terms of how long the tyres lasted. So let's see where it sits then on the leaderboard. So the endurance car in the 41s there, 41.5. The old car 41.9. Again, that could be user error. Remember, we've got steering, braking, accelerating all in there. Could easily be that. Sprint medal lost 3 seconds. Now, I don't know if that is because I had less confidence in the car, maybe it oversteered a bit more, or whatever it might be, but it did lose some time there. Bearing in mind, the endurance car stayed the same. Kind of interesting. Could be human input, could be human error as well. There is an element of human error with that tyre test, but it's the only way I can test the car, by doing that same circuit and getting a realistic look as we look at the bottom of the list there, which are terrible on tyres, as we all know, mainly MR cars. Right, next up, top speed then. This is taken from Bathurst, so this tells us if a car can really reach the upper echelons of the 170s there. You can see the Ford GTLM Spec 2, which does need retesting, of course. Not in the top 20 in terms of speed. Someone's going to go, why isn't it in kilometers an hour? Because I drive in miles an hour, as do most of the people who watch this video, because they're mainly from the US and UK. 169 mile an hour then for both models. So you can see there's no real difference there. I still don't understand the performance point difference, if I'm honest with you, and I will explain that a little bit more in a second, as we're going to be looking next at the overall summary now in terms of the leaderboards then. So where does this car sit overall? Is it a meta car? I think you all know the answer to this question. Yes, it is a meta car. It's very much up there at the front. Look at that. Arguably, because the Genesis needs retesting, it is the meta car at the moment. The BMW M6 GT3 Endurance there, topping it, with the sprint model very close behind. So you can see there, it's a car, a go-to car. Now, I wouldn't use this in the wet. If you want to know why, make sure at the end of this video, you check out the Beat the Meta with this car. And that's how I do these cars. If you haven't seen your car tested yet, make sure you put in the comments, and I will give it a love heart, and that will say signal, and it has been voted for, and your vote has counted. The car with the highest votes, I try to beat the meta with, and then it gets a car profile test. I have sorted the order of the retest as well. I think there is in total 10 retests, and there'll be 2 or 3 cars per retest going forward in those videos, so do keep an eye out for them. One final thing to say with this car, unbopped, the Endurance model has a significant advantage of 0.5 over the Sprint model. It's really odd, and I still don't get it, to be honest with you. So it's weird how the bop changes it as well. I suspect it's something to do with weight, and the Endurance model maybe having a tiny bit more weight over the rear of the car, which just helps it a tiny bit more. I say it's tiny, but I'm pretty sure it exists, which is why I have more confidence in it. That's my guess, and that is the end of this video. I do hope you have enjoyed it, folks. Do give it a like, as you saw with that graphic. Do subscribe to the channel to stay in touch with all the latest content. 2 codes there. Sorry, a link and a code in the description if you want to use them. That's it for me, folks. Big thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very soon.